But if you close your eyes,
Hi guys, welcome to an interesting video by Max. Today we're back with more Injustice Gods Among Us at last. And so I haven't been making videos for a long time now, and that's mainly because there really isn't anything much to talk about, but now there is. So update 2.21 I believe just dropped yesterday, and I didn't do any videos on update 2.20 because basically nothing changed except for the new gear Gingo Soda, which I will be doing a video on very shortly, very soon. And I was also a little bit busy, but today we're just going to take a look at the new update. And yeah, so before I get into the update, I do want to say that currently, since the last update, there has been a glitch to get multiplayer rewards early, and as well as now in this current update, there is a glitch which allows you to get unlimited multiplayer rewards, which I may be trying out, but I don't think I'll make a video on that because it's really complicated. And the last time I made a video on doing a glitch, I tried to explain it the best I can, but a lot of people still didn't get it, although there were a lot of other people who did, and we're very thankful for that. But anyway, if you guys are interested in that, I will put a link in the description to the video that I found, which taught me how to do the glitch, and I have done it successfully, in case you guys wanted to know. But I do think it's a little bit harder for me to explain it, and I think that they've done a good job doing it, so I'll just let you guys check that out. So also another thing that I want to get into before we get into the main update itself is that one small change is that the Most Wanted pack has been updated, and I will be doing a Most Wanted pack opening right after I record this video, and it will be up for you guys really soon, so that we can all check out what there is in the Most Wanted pack itself, because I'm really curious on what's in there as well. So we're going to be doing that, but for now, let's take a look at the update notes. So basically, the first thing you'll notice is that the icon has changed into a Batman Ninja logo, and I do believe that Batman Ninja is a animated movie or something that was released recently, I think. But yeah, so this update is based mainly on it, and although I am not too excited about it, the entire Batman Ninja theme, because I really don't know what that is, but what I am excited about is the fact that we are getting 2 new characters and 2 new gears. And just a refresher, the last update we got 1 gear, and the update before that we got 1 character, which was the Rebirth Green Arrow, as well as the Gingo Soda for the past 2 updates. So this update we're getting like double of what we got for the last 2 updates combined, so I don't think we can complain about too much. So let's just get into it. So let's read the description. So firstly, we have 2 new challenge characters based off of the Batman Ninja movie, Batman Ninja Batman and Batman Ninja Lord Joker. So good thing here is that it is a challenge character, so we won't be having to grind a multiplayer for that. And so we have some unique abilities, new team synergies, as well as a powerful gear to the game, basically. So Batman Ninja uses his kunai knife to strike down his enemies, causing them to, oops, not that direction, causing them to bleed. And Joker tosses his iconic Japanese paper fan and watches it explode. And basically this description is just giving you a sort of a preview for the character's abilities and stuff. But what I will say is that the kunai knives are basically his first special, which is identical to Gaslight Batman, and the part talking about the Joker is talking about, I believe, his special 2, if I'm not wrong. If not, that would be his combo ender or something like that. But and then we talk about his passive, where they describe it a little bit, but I'm not gonna go into that too much because we are gonna get into that really soon, actually right now. So basically, these are the characters, and I got these images from the Injustice Gods Among Us forums, in case you guys are curious where I got this information from. So I don't have these characters, and I have not tested them out yet because they are unreleased. But this information did come from the Injustice Gods Among Us forum, so you guys can check that out. on the forums for the discussion and all. But basically, from what I gathered so far, it is really complicated, as in how the characters work and how the gear works is really complicated. So for the characters specials, I will get into that after they release the challenge and I've completed it as usual. But for now, we'll just take a look at the passives. So the Batman Ninja Batman has a passive called Ninja Rising. When outnumbered, he receives 50% less damage and is immune to life drain. Batman Ninja teammates get 20% critical chance, and all teammates get 50% power generation from critical hits. So as with the trend, we have a really long passive. So the first part I could see being useful. However, I never like passive that are focused more defensively, or gears for that matter, because I would like to think that when I'm playing multiplayer or normal mode, I would want to be winning, so I would have more characters than the enemy if I'm playing it right, which means that if I am outnumbered, it means I'm losing, which is not a good thing. But if that does happen, we will receive less damage. So to me, this first part of the passive is a little bit more of a side note rather than something to focus on, because I wouldn't want to be winning most of the time, I suppose. But yeah, that is useful, and if you would want to take advantage of it, you have to stack defensive gears, something like the Gingo Soda, which we will be looking at soon, as well as like the Killer Croc companion card. But I don't see the point in having a Batman Ninja Batman taking no damage and purposely letting one of your characters get knocked out. Although I can see a scenario where that would be useful, which I'll get into later, something like a dual Batman Ninja team and a Killing Joke Joker. After we look at the Joker, I'll explain why. So the next part is immune to life drain. That's useful but not game changing. So Batman Ninja teammates, which is basically for now only Lord Joker, gets 20% plus 20% critical chance, which is useful, I would say, but nothing game changing still. And all his teammates get 50% power generation from critical hits. So this is again useful but not game changing, and it is a little bit ambiguous whether the critical hits is dishing out the critical hits or receiving the critical hits. But if it's giving the critical hits, I could see being really useful, especially for characters who rely a lot on basic damage and crit. But if it's receiving the critical hits, then this would drop the value of this passive by a ton, because that really isn't that good. So basically, overall his passive is like okay, but like, I don't see it being really good or anything. So let's take a look at the Joker. So Batman Ninja Lord Joker, first of all, that design looks really weird. I mean, look at those eyes and the mustache. But anyways, enough about that. So he has passive Cult of the Demon King. So when Joker kills an enemy, for 10 seconds his attacks cause 100% life drain, and enemy life drain heals him. So I can see that being incredibly useful, because I do want to be on the attacking side and I do want to, you know, knock out the enemy. So this Joker is a lot more offensive character. As you can see from the stat distribution, let's compare the stat distribution. The Joker has a lot more attack and less health, as with the rest of the Joker cards in the game. But so basically, when you knock out your opponent, you gain like life drain. I'm not sure if that applies to both basic attacks and special, because if it applies to specials, I could see a lot of potential to be like a glass cannon type of character, where you instantly try to knock out your enemy and then you quickly heal yourself back up. And then next part of the passive is enemy life drain heals him. So that is just a side note kind of thing, like it's useful if your enemy has life drain on, but you can't really manipulate that or use it to your advantage too much. So yeah. And next part, Gunner teammates special attacks cause 20% damage to opponents tagged out teammates, which basically sounds like splash damage to me, which is something like Gears, but except that this character is giving his team like splash damage ability. So I'm not completely sure if that's true, but I guess we'll have to see when the character is released. So the Gunner teammates are listed, so that is handy. So next we have two new pieces of gear, and really nothing much has been said about the gears and how they will be released. So my personal guess is that they will be releasing together with the challenge. So like when you complete Nightmare difficulty, you get the gear. That's how I think that they release it. But there are a couple of other ways which I will discuss with y'all on how they could release it, which is number one, through the challenge like I said. Number two, through gear lockers, which is basically becoming a pack kind of gear. Number 3, they could release it on online multiplayer, but I think that is not too likely because aside from the Batmobile, I don't think any other character-specific gear has been released online, I believe. Or number 4, they could put it in Survivor mode, which would also make sense because there hasn't been Survivor mode gear for some time now, so that would make sense as well. So there are these 4 ways that it could happen, and let's just see what happens. So let's get into the first gear, which is the Batman Ninja helmet. So I really don't like this piece of gear, and this is also a defensive piece of gear. And in case you guys are wondering, like I said, I got this from the Injustice forums. I definitely do not have 96 copies of the gear. As a matter of fact, I don't even have 1 copy of the gear. But anyway, so let's just take a look at the gear. So first off, 40% max health increase, nothing special. A lot of other gears have that as well. Not a lot of other gears, but it is an existing ability with nothing special. So the other abilities are a little bit unique, but I don't think that they are really good, I would say. So for every 5% of available power, damage received is reduced by 2.3%. And this is maxed out. So basically, if you have like 100% power, you would receive, I think, like about 50% less damage, 46% I think, if I do my math correctly. So you would receive like 46% less damage. And if you really think about it, there's a lot of other gears that could do better in this category, like the Gingo Soda, the Killer Croc Companion Card, and I would not see any reason why you would want to have maximum power to take advantage of this ability. So in my eyes, this second ability is completely useless because there is no reason why you wouldn't spend your power to dish out damage, and you would store your power for this gear to have its effect. And 46% is not even as high as the Gingo Soda, which is a proper defensive gear. So this one is interesting, 50% chance to resist power drain. Now I could see this being handy in certain situations, but as we know, not every character power drains, and most meta characters in MP now don't really power drain, and I just think that this ability is useful, but yet again not very useful because not too many people make use of the power drain mechanic as of now. So it's just an average ability to me. So now the final ability is the Batman specific ability, which is the fact that for every 10% of available power, crit chance increases by 3%. So now this is the same concept as the second one. So basically, if you have 100% power, you have a 30% increased crit chance, but why would you possibly do that when there are gears like the League of Assassins Hood that gives you 50% crit chance without needing to store power? And again, the concept of storing power doesn't make sense at all. Like, why would you store full power for a 30% crit chance? Like to me, the second and the fourth ability is just completely useless. So in essence, to me, this gear is almost completely useless because the max health increase, the power drain resist is nothing huge. The second and fourth ability to me is completely useless and non-existent. I'd rather equip a 1-star gear than use this gear possibly, but because it is completely useless to me. And before I completely destroy this gear on how it's completely useless, if you guys can actually find any like useful uses of the gear, you guys can feel free to let me know in the comments. But yeah, to me it just isn't useful at all. So however, stark contrast with the Quake engine, which is the Joker's piece of gear. Overall, I think that this update Joker gear as well as character is way better than Batman, because like Batman's passive is alright and his gear is complete shit, but Joker's ability is pretty okay, at least better than Batman's, and his gear is pretty good. So why do I say so? So first off, we have a 40% chance to steal 100% of a Special 2's cost. So now, I don't really know fully how this is going to work, but it seems pretty interesting, although not the best ability of this gear. So, from what I see is that if it activates, we will steal the Special 2's cost from an opponent, but I don't know how that works. So basically, I suppose you have to activate your Special 2, and if it works, you will gain... I think that you possibly use your opponent's power instead of your own. Either that or you would gain power from the existing power that you have. But either way, that is a pretty handy ability. So now the second ability is Specials and Dots do plus 50% damage against enemies with less than 1 power bar. So now, of course, this ability is useful, but it's yet again, it's hard to manipulate their power unless you're using a power drainer. But I don't think that this gear is best on the power drainer because of the rest of the abilities. But this is basically not the best ability of the gear, but it is a more than useful ability. So of course, inflicting more damage is really good, and especially because when you play against AI, whether in multiplayer or single player, they do tend to like to use their special ones, and they don't tend to store till special 2 or supers. So I could see this being pretty handy. And the third ability, after an applied dot finishes, 100% chance to re-trigger the dot on an active enemy. So this is what I feel is the best ability here. So when applied dot finishes, 100% chance to re-trigger the dot basically means that the dot will keep on going and keep on going until the enemy tags out. So now I could already think of so much synergy with this, aside from the fact that we're not going to take a look at the Joker ability yet, but you could use it with the Ibis Stick with like Arkham Knight Catwoman, and with like Arkham Origins the Joker. And after we take a look at the Joker ability, which is increasing enemy tag cooldown by 8 seconds, this gear becomes perfect for Arkham Origins the Joker, because just think about it, like if we pair him with 2 Arkham teammates and he has maximum poison, he's fully augmented, he has this gear on, and opponents can't tag out, and since they can't tag out, the poison will keep on refreshing. So what I would do is I'll put this gear on, I'll put the Ibis Stick on, and I would put him with 2 Arkham teammates, possibly swapping one of them out for Batman Returns Catwoman. But the damage you do in dot is insane. Like his dot from his own passive, the dot from the Ibis Stick, and it goes on and on and on until 8 seconds later when the opponent can tag out. And about the same concept for Catwoman, Arkham Knight Catwoman that is, except without the trapping them in for 8 seconds. But what I'm curious to see is, because Arkham Knight Catwoman's dot applies even when they're tagged out, I'm not sure how the third ability, which is after the applied dot finishes, 100% chance to re-trigger dot on active enemy. I don't know how that will work, because I doubt that her dot will last forever even when enemy tags out. But if it somehow does, that could break the game entirely. It could be like that time when we had Sinestro with the Animator Sinestro with the League of Assassins set. So we have to see how this works. But overall, I think that this the Gear's third ability makes it an awesome piece of gear offensively and just overall. So a possible team that we could build is like the 2 Batman ninja guys, as well as the Killing Joke Joker, which would, so this would serve 2 purposes, which is both eliminating a character from our team such that Batman passive triggers that we are outnumbered, and additionally it would also mean that both Joker and Batman have full power and is ready to dish out the damage. And when you think about it, if we put Lord Joker with the Ibis Stick, his Quake engine, and like another piece of gear, he could dish out a ton of damage quickly and probably end the match right there. But if that fails and somehow his glass cannon gets knocked out, our glass cannon gets knocked out, we still have Batman, who is now outnumbered 3-1 or 2-1. He's pretty much outnumbered either way, unless it's 1-1. But he's outnumbered, so he takes less damage and he can finish up the job. So I think that that's a possible team. But besides that, yeah, that's about it. So that's talking about the 2.21 update. Upcoming is the Gingo Soda video, as well as the Most Wanted Pack opening. So thanks for watching this video, guys, and goodbye.